After conversation with Colt, to go into these conversations with an open mind, make sure we were flexible in our approach to, engaging with Scott and Jeff. And, we looked at this idea from different angles and different perspectives, right? There's different, as the saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? This is bigger than, as Colt just said, this is bigger than money. He's a young man of integrity, humility, and gratitude, right? The biggest thing for him, he wants to be a really good major league player. The money, if Colt reaches his potential and becomes the player that we all feel like he can become, he's going to make a lot of money playing baseball, right? This deal, I think, for him gives him financial security. It makes him comfortable, confident, where he can go into start his major league career with a more selfless approach. He wants to win, make it about the team, not necessarily start his career focusing on, personal achievements and statistics. And I think this aligns with the type of person that he is, putting himself in a position to put the team first and then focus on being the best leader he can be. So that was our focus. We approached the conversations and with a different attitude, a different approach than some people would. Hey, put the client first. What's most important for Colt? Provide him with the information that he needs to make a well-informed decision. And at the end of the day, it's Colt's decision, and we support him. It's not our decision, right? And I'm here to support Colt, and I feel good about it. We're approaching this with a level of optimism. We're not second-guessing ourselves. Colt's not second-guessing his decision. And Scott and I, throughout the conversations, I think one phrase that was used was shared risk. We feel like both parties are sharing risk here, right? We hope that Colt goes out and he's a perennial all-star, and he helps his team win a lot of games. If he does, I think he'll be happy. The Tigers will be happy. And at the end of the day, it's a fair and equitable deal. We did our research. We did our homework. And we feel like this is fair and equitable for both sides. So we're happy about it and we're excited.
Question for Colt. What was this like for you? Can you kind of walk us through when you first found out that this deal was on the table, like this was an option for you? Where were you at? What were you doing? And kind of like what was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I was visiting Ohio. I was visiting family for Christmas, and I was out at my buddy's. He's building a cabin, and we found out. And it was just the thought of, having a long-term extension with a big league club was just, it was just overwhelming joy. I just was glad that we were even having these talks. It really showed what, Scott, Chris Ilitch, and, baseball as a whole saw as me as a player. And, as it went on, there was a bunch of emotions, but most of them were positive. I mean, it was just, we're talking about this sort of money and this sort of, time frame and this sort of future with this team. It was great.
Scott, this one is first for you. You talk about it being a little bit of a risk to sign Colt to this type of deal. What have you seen from him in the past year or so that has made you comfortable with that risk?
First of all, his talent and his performance speaks for themselves. He has a combination of contact, power, and discipline that's hard to find for someone his age. However, we don't just give out these deals to every talented player that comes through. We are looking for great teammates who have strong work ethics, who make themselves better and make the people around them better. We are looking for people who care about winning, who care about the Tigers winning, and who are competing as hard in the gym and on the dirt in early work as they are in the batter's box. That's what we saw in Colt. We get to see Colt every day. We have some of our most trusted evaluators and coaches around him every day, and we saw that at every turn, when people were looking and when people weren't looking. That really stuck out to me. I think another thing that stuck out to me was last year he absolutely dominated AA, and he earned a promotion to AAA last summer. I think any reasonable hitter would just take the same approach from AA to AAA and just expect it to work. In all of the at-bats that I watched, I noticed something that was really interesting with Colt last year in AAA. AAA pitchers started to attack him in very specific ways. They started to try to exploit weaknesses in his swing and in his approach. Colt recognized those patterns early, and he worked to not only close those holes, but actually drive those pitches for damage. It's really hard to do, especially for someone his age. We talk a lot about making adjustments on that field, adjusting to the specific patterns that you're seeing from pitchers, and closing those weaknesses, forcing pitchers out of those zones. He started to do that against competition that's a lot older than him in AAA. And so that adjustability, that capacity to make adjustments to what he's seeing and continue to perform, that was one of the many reasons why we were confident in this extension.
And Colt, congratulations. Can you just kind of speak to that too? How were you able to make those adjustments? What was your approach?
Yeah, I think it's just instilled in me to never give in, just constantly fight and find a way to make it happen and be successful. I think that's just been instilled to me through my parents, and just the way I was brought up is just keep on trying to find a way, and just really loving to win and that drive, and that combination of being willing to put in as much work as it takes to be successful, and combine all those, and it just happened.
It looks like you got to have some fun around the city of Detroit this week. What'd you think?
Man, it was great. We saw the Fox Theater, and I even said, besides Comerica Park, that was my favorite thing. And Little Caesars Arena was awesome, and we got the whole tour of that, and we watched the Red Wings play. We got a dub there. Pistons played. We got a dub there on courtside, and the Lions didn't win, but we got to see how many people just went to the stadium without even being a game there. It just really shows, how big of a sports town this is, and really gets me pumped up for the season, and I'm excited to see what it's like here in Comerica Park. Yeah,
the Red Wings and Pistons might need to keep you around for a while if they keep winning like that.
I'll be happy to do it, man. It was awesome.
So Colt, I know the last couple off seasons you've had specific things you were working on. Did you do anything different this off season to work on your game and get better?
Going into this year?
Yep.
I think I really just worked on my swing mechanics and just keep getting stronger in my wrists and forearms. I think that's where, I believe for my body, that's where power comes from, without me giving up my swing and miss. And keeping my head still and keeping my head back. And I'll say that this right here, Matt Paul, is the only agent that hits with you every single day. We're out there all the time, so he can speak on my swing as well. But we've really just been working on keeping it short, compact, keeping my head still, and being ready for 92-mile-per-hour sliders and 103-mile-per-hour fastballs, and keeping that head there and being able to make adjustments and being able to hit, not only doubles, tall fields, but also homers. Just getting strong as I can and be ready for whatever comes this year.
Yeah, question for Colt and for Matt. I mean, obviously you guys have a little bit of a different relationship, a special relationship, if you will. How much does that play into getting a deal like this done, the trust between the two of you? Can you walk us through when that started and what that's like, maybe how that factored into this deal coming to fruition?
I think our relationship, the closeness of our relationship, and how much time that Colt and I spend together, as you alluded to, we spend a great deal of time together. We live 5 minutes apart from each other. I'd say 80% of the off season, the last 7 years, or 5 years you've been in Pro Bowl now, we're on the field 4 to 5 days a week, right? There's plenty of time for us to have conversations, engage in conversation. We talk life. It's bigger than baseball. Colt's become an extension. Colt, Troy, Mary, now Kate. They've become an extension of my own family, right? Trust, when you talk any type of deal, you talk business or, not just sports. That's when I knew and how I knew There's certain times we can have conversations and I can just, see a look on his face or, just the body language. When I brought this to the idea to Colt, I knew there was potential interest, right? I think it was important for me to lay, Clarence and myself, to lay all the information out on the table, right? We challenged him. We talked about the pros and the cons, the good and the bad. We looked at this thing, once again, from different angles. The arbitration process. 2 sticking points for us was, hey, what you could potentially make through the arbitration process and what you're going to potentially make through age 30. If you're a good player, an average player, a bad player, right? We don't necessarily speak in hypotheticals. This is real life. It's real life, real money. It's a 22-year-old who hadn't had one, as he said, one big league at bat, right? It's not guesswork. We're not trying to guess. We're trying to give him the right information. He trusts me. I trust him. I know how good he can be, and I've got a pretty good idea how good he's going to be. So our relationship played a really big role, I think, in Colt's trust in me. So I think us just having the time, because we're around each other so much, to really talk through this, right? It's not like we talk once a week over the phone. We're together all the time in person, so we can have real-time conversation. And I can really see how important things are to him, and he can see how I feel about certain subjects and how important it is to me. He wants to be a great baseball player. I'd say up until a month ago, we never talk about money. Our approach to off-season baseball life is we talk about it all the time and engage ourselves in the process, right? It's a process-driven sport, life outside of sports. And I've got a saying, get 1% better every day. That's what we try to do, right? It just so happened that, Colt put in the work, the time. We did a lot of this work together where he put himself in a position to, have an opportunity like this. And I'd say to 99% of America, 1%, he's a 1%er, right? An opportunity of a lifetime, present itself because of the work and the dedication he's put in. Went from a 5th-round pick in 2020 to today, to now. So I know how important this is to him. I've been there with him throughout this journey. I'll never forget, and I don't want to talk too much, but I'll never forget. And I don't want to get too sentimental, but the 2020 draft was a special moment for us. We sat together, me, Colt, and his parents. It was just the 4 of us. I knew how important it was for him to be a pro baseball player, right? He wanted to be a pro, and he wasn't concerned with college. As you guys can see, he signed for $500 grand. Out of high school. He could have gone to college and potentially been a top 5 pick, right? But it was important for him. He's passionate about being a pro baseball player. He wanted to be a big leaguer. He believed in himself. There was a confidence. He had the ultimate confidence in himself that he was going to be a big leaguer. He said, Matt, help me get drafted, I'm going to be a big leaguer. I'll never forget him telling me that. We got him drafted. We got him self-drafted, but we did our part. And he set out to be a big leaguer, and I think today it symbolizes the ultimate goal of obviously this is a big step in the right direction. So yeah, our relationship played a big part. Just us knowing each other so well, and just kind of helping, I guess, get this deal done. So hopefully that answers your question, Evan. I don't know if you want to expound.
Colt, as you were looking at both sides of the situation, did you look at deals that, a player like Acuna, cost himself some money, and if you're a player like that, you'd be in that situation. As you were going back and forth, did that give you any pause or concern, or even just what was your thought on that side of it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we looked into all the situations, and Acuna may have cost himself some money, but also he's been hurt a lot. And say he didn't take that deal and he went through the arbitration process, who knows? Anything could happen. At the end of the day, he secured himself $220 million. And he may have a chance to sign another contract. That's the way I look at it. I look at it as a positive thing. I'll be a free agent at 31, and you know, with my work ethic and you know, my dreams and aspirations, I want to be healthy enough and you know, mobile enough and strong enough to be able to sign another long-term deal and you know, convince hopefully the Tigers to you know, extend me again. You know, and there's also negatives to it. You know, potentially I go out and you know, outplay the contract. And in my eyes, I see that as a positive because the Tigers are going to be winning more games. You know, at the end of the day, I got my financial security with the ability to sign another contract down the road, and the Tigers, you know, aren't they still have money to sign other players, and we're still going to be in the competing of winning in, you know, playoff games, World Series is down the road, and that's just what I want to be a part of. So.
I just want to interject one thing, which is a less obvious but important part of this deal. For some players, sometimes limiting distractions can help you become a better player. I've seen it before in my career. It wasn't an explicit part of the negotiation, but Colt earned the right to settle the business elements of being a professional baseball player very early in his career, and now he can pivot and focus on being the best player he can possibly be on the field, getting the most out of his teammates and helping the Tigers win games. That's a really important part. Like that from his point of view, like he chose to sign, lock up, you know, life-changing money for himself, and now be hyper-focused on being the best player he can possibly be with an opportunity later in his career. Very few players earn that right to even make the choice, and he earned that right, and now he has the opportunity to go help us win games.
Yeah, question for Scott. Is Colt your opening day second baseman now?
This contract is a lot of things. You know, it demonstrates our belief in Colt. It changes his paycheck. It gives him the recognition that he deserves. It doesn't fundamentally change his development timeline. Colt has to show up to Lakeland, and he has to earn a spot on an open day roster. He knows that. Hopefully, by investing in him and giving him this contract, we are showing that we expect him to make a very compelling case in spring training to be our opening day starter at second base. But he has to earn it, just like every other player that's coming into Lakeland.
And then can you give us a reason for moving him back to second base and kind of what went into that?
Yeah, we think Colt can play second and third, first of all. Second of all, we think that he has a chance to be an average or better defensive second baseman. He's put in a lot of work over the last calendar year, especially this offseason, and he's been around some of our best infield guys that we have in the whole organization, including, you know, a guy that's on the brick wall back there in Tram, as well as Joey Cora, who's our new major league infield guy. We think the way his body works, we think all the work that he put in on his agility and his flexibility is going to give him an opportunity to make a lot of plays at second base for us. We also think that it's going to save a little bit of the load on his arm and allow him to play the position really well and help us win games. So we're not closing the door on third base at all. I think, you know, he's going to take some ground balls in Lakeland at third base. I think the primary focus for us this year, given the makeup of our team, is going to be at second base.
Off that, a question for Matt. When you were looking at the market and doing your research to present information to Colt, did you keep his positional versatility in mind? Did you have to treat him primarily as a second baseman, or did that factor in at all?
Yeah, we looked at different styles of players, right? At different positions. We, you know, obviously we had to do our homework and try to project, use our evaluation skills. I scouted for almost 10 years. So I've seen, you know, tons of players. I grew up with a major league player, my brother Xavier. So been around a ton of players. Clarence has scouted for over 20 years, right? So we've got a great deal of experience looking at players, evaluating players. So we did use our experience, you know, scouting, evaluating. And once again, I'm around Colt all the time, you know, 4 days a week on the field, right? So we look at him now. He's a big, strong, physical kid, right? Colt and I have these discussions all the time, right? You may play second base today, you may play third tomorrow. At age 30, 31, you could be a second baseman, you could be a third baseman, you could be a first baseman. So there was a lot of different factors and angles we had to attack. you know, in these conversations. So yeah, we looked at different player profiles and looked at the career earnings of different players, different styles of players, different positions. We don't know what he's going to be 10 years from now defensively, but I know he's going to be a darn good hitter, right? He's going to hit for, as Scott said, I'm confident he's going to hit for a lot of average, a high average, and a lot of power. That was, in a way, a very important factor in how we approach these conversations, looking at different styles of players, for sure.
Colt, can you just talk a little bit about your thoughts about playing for A.J. Hinch? Let's say you make the opening day roster. Just some of the things that you think about, having heard about him, having obviously interacted with him in the last couple of years. He obviously thinks the world of you. He mentioned you a couple of times during the summer last year. He's very excited about you coming up. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I grew up watching him on TV, you know, with the Astros, and you know, one thing I know about AJ is that he's a winner, you know, and he's going to put us in a great position to win every single day, day in and day out. So, you know, I'm really excited to play for him. I know he's got a great boatload of knowledge, and, you know, I'm excited just to pick his brain and, you know, play for a manager like that with such big accolades, and you know, hopefully carry it on to Detroit and win some games.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll do a couple of photos on the stage now. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone.